Hi, my name is Nikki. This is The Interventionalist. And today I really want to talk about the experience of dating for the first time after coming out of the closet and allowing yourself to embrace your sexuality and just date people sort of shamelessly for the first time. Like, truly allow yourself to date people you're attracted to. And that's not to say that there aren't still things that can be impacting you or that you're struggling with. Like, my last video was on the predatory lesbian trope and how, it can be like an obstacle and something you have to deal with, like getting comfortable with and trusting the fact that it's okay to be gay and that it doesn't mean that you're weird or creepy. But I also wanted to talk about the more like lighthearted, sort of overwhelmingly wonderful parts of dating for the first time after coming out. And I was thinking about this because I was remembering my first and second date with my last ex-girlfriend and how I got so awkward. Like, I just started word vomiting things. Like, I got so awkward because I liked her. And it's so crazy because I never got awkward on dates with men because I didn't care. They had no effect on me. They had no physical effect on me. They had no emotional effect on me. The only thing I felt was boredom, annoyance, being a little offended that they I don't know. I would feel like a little bit offended and then anxious because I wanted it to end. But I never cared. I didn't like want them to like me. I wasn't overwhelmed with like I want to do this well. Like, I don't know. Like, I want to make a good impression and I want her to feel seen. And I like all that comes with when you suddenly like, oh my gosh, wait, I like this person. I want to see him again. And I kind of hope they want to see me again. And it just reminded me like how when I have gone out with people and then I actually end up having feelings for them, like I just sort of, oh my God, I just get like so awkward. And it's so interesting because I feel like when people are able to date, and maybe not even date, but when people grow up and they're allowed to explore their attraction, or they don't have to suppress the attraction that they have for whoever they're attracted to, they're allowed to just like freely be like, oh, I'm experiencing that attraction. They don't have to suppress it or be confused about it or feel a lot of guilt and shame. So like if you're straight, like you could grow up and be like, oh, that man is attractive and think about that. And you didn't have to it didn't come with all these messy, often like really frustrating, disorienting emotions. So even if you didn't end up dating, I think you sort of microdose the experience of attraction. And so over time, you kind of know what it is, what it looks like, what it feels like. You also probably like can relate to things like the heterosexual scripts that are so prominent in media and life. But as someone who didn't experience that, I couldn't experience like the embracing of attraction. And when I did have like feelings for girls when I was younger, it was just coated and covered in all that guilt and shame and confusion and disorientation. And because of that, it was never something that I could just experience and sort of like internalize and be like, oh, okay, so that's what it feels like. Like, I have a crush when she comes in the room, like, okay, my heart's gonna like pick up a little bit. All of these like things that come with being attracted to someone for the first time. And you just don't have that, I think, if you grow up in a way that you're not even allowed to acknowledge it, or you're too afraid to acknowledge it. And then when you're allowed to, like when you come out and you allow yourself to just embrace dating the same sex, and yes, there might be still some struggles with like internalized homophobia or shame or guilt, like I talked about in my last video. There's still so many like wonderful experiences that come with it that are overwhelming in just such different ways. And it's the experience of just like truly allowing yourself and being present in experiencing attraction for somebody for the first time, and all of the effects that can have on you and the way that it makes you care. Like, suddenly I cared when I was on dates because I liked the people. I liked, not every time, but when I did like a girl I was on a date with, I cared in a way that I'd never cared before. And I was attracted to her in like all these ways that I never was before. Romantically, emotionally, I would be physically attracted. Like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot of emotions and feelings, and like you're sort of in overdrive. Like, I sort of kind of would short circuit because I'd never experienced those things, and then especially all at once. And then I had no idea how to navigate it, because romantic attraction, like, you learn how to navigate that like through experience. And so many of us really learn the navigation of romantic attraction through what we see, right? Like the dominant scripts in media and traditional, I don't know, heteronormative scripts that like tend to surround us. Like I grew up in a really traditional environment. And so that was always what I saw, these very like traditional heterosexual relationships. And so that's kind of how you have a baseline for how to navigate romantic situations, and what it looks like. And even if you're a little nervous or you don't know what to do, it's like, oh, I can fall back on this. This is what I do next. Or like, this is what to anticipate. This is how maybe I should respond. Like there's some foundation. And then from there, I think you can learn about yourself and whoever you're with, and then you build your own script. But there's some kind of foundation. And it's not crazy to be experiencing romantic attraction for this person. And because of that, like what's interesting about it, I guess, that is a parallel to the experience of dating, like for me, women for the first time as a lesbian, is that you can grow up witnessing romantic interactions and the romantic scripts in heterosexual relationships. But I didn't see that at all when I was a kid. Like I had really no frame of reference for a romantic interaction between two women, lesbians. I really, like lesbians in particular, I knew about gay men, but lesbians and like sapphic relationships was something I really wasn't exposed to. And I don't really know why that is, but I don't think I was really exposed to that until I was like late high school. And I had no frame of reference. And the only frame of reference I had for relationships with women, and that I was always told were appropriate, were platonic relationships. And so that's like kind of all you know. That's all of like the interactions that you know, that's how you like gauge and base your interactions with people, is like what's appropriate in your relationship platonically. But you want to be romantic with somebody, and how do you cross that line? How do you cross that line? How do you be romantic with somebody that you were never sort of shown a romantic experience of? You never saw that romantic interaction. And it just doesn't feel the same, and it doesn't look the same as a heterosexual situation. It just doesn't, and it's different. And the relationship I have with women just in general, even platonically, even if I go on a date with a girl and we immediately have platonic chemistry, the interaction we then have is so vastly different than what it would be with a man. And so because of that, it just takes a whole new level of navigation and how to like move forward to be romantic. And I didn't know how to do that. I mean, I like got older and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna have to try. Like, I'm just gonna have to figure it out. And hope, I don't know, I have to learn. And, I was a little bit more driven to do it because I was romantically attracted to these people. So I wanted to learn how to do it, but I had no frame of reference. So I didn't know how to do it. And I always kind of felt like I was fumbling, or like just like word vomiting a lot of the times when I did like a girl. I didn't really know the next move, like how to go about things, like how to make sure, like, okay, I want her to know that I like her. Like, I don't want to just be platonic. Like, I want her to know that I like her, but I have no frame of reference for what it looks like to go to the next step romantically with a woman, as a woman, and like a way that's comfortable. And I don't feel like a weirdo for doing it because like the predatory lesbian trope I talk about. And I needed to learn how to do it. And then you have to learn how to flirt. And you have to like learn how to flirt for the first time. And it's just different. It's just different. The relationship I had with women, the interactions I have, flirting, it's just very different. And so you have to like learn how to flirt for the first time. And it's quite nerve-wracking. Actually, it's quite nerve-wracking for so many different reasons, but it's also just kind of funny. And then also learning to navigate like somebody else being attracted to you and expressing desire for you and want for you. And it's somebody that you actually want. And it also probably looks different than like what you've always seen if it's heterosexual, and like figuring out how to respond to it, how to be like, okay, and recognize it when somebody else is flirting with you because you probably didn't see it. And so how do you recognize it? How do you know that it's a little bit different than being platonic? Like sometimes you can't tell, like, I don't know. It's a whole learning experience. And it's just like funny because I look back now and I'm like, God, when I did like a girl and like I cared, I would get so nervous and so awkward in a way that I'd never experienced. And it's because I cared. And so I was hit with all of this kind of attraction and I cared for the first time. And so I wanted it to go well. And that caused me to freeze and be like, I need to figure out how to do this right now. Like figure out how to go from platonic to romantic and make sure she knows I'm seeing her romantically. So she knows like I want to be more than friends. Like, I want her to know that I like her. How do I do it in a way that's not weird? How do I do it at all? And just being in the moment and also overwhelmed with attraction that it's like, oh my God, I just freeze. I was just frozen. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I don't know, it made me laugh because I was thinking about how my last ex-girlfriend, when we went on this is just a good example of when I like got hit and with all that attraction and like care about the situation, and then I just froze because I was like, wait, I kind of know how to do this now, and suddenly it's all gone out the window. When I went on my first date with her, when she first got there, we met at a bar. Neither of us drink also, and we I went outside to open the door for her, whatever, and then within the first 5 minutes I was like, oh, we're never gonna go on a second date. I don't know, it just didn't feel like we were compatible. And then we were both like, oh, we don't even drink, why are we here? And we went to a different bar, a rooftop bar that had mocktails. And we went there, and I'm still thinking she's nice, but I really don't see us having that kind of connection. And then halfway through the date, I'm like, oh wait, I like her. Oh my God, I like her. And I found myself I would look down and I'm like, oh my God, I just got way closer to her. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Okay, I like her. Be cool. Be cool. How do I make sure she knows in this moment that I like her? I'm in my head, trying to think of all the ways that I could do that without being weird. I'm maybe I should try and subtly touch her arm. And I'm oh my God, I don't know if that's weird. I don't know if I should do that. I don't know. Is that gonna be a sign? Will she understand that? And it's so crazy because at that point I'd been dating women for a while, but still in that moment, it was only a few years of dating women and only a couple times that I actually had feelings for women. So it was still so foreign when I experienced it that navigating it was still something that did not come necessarily naturally or easily. It felt like the most natural thing in the world to feel that way. But I sort of fumbled and stumbled through it. And so I'm on that date and I'm okay, I need to figure out how to let her know. And so I was okay, I'm gonna get closer to her. So I did. And we laughed about it then when we were in a relationship because she was I could tell, but I was too nervous to also move closer to you. And she's but I was hoping you'd get closer to me. And I was trying. And then eventually we left. We talked for hours. And then she had parked pretty far away. So I was obviously I'm going to walk her to her car. So we're walking to her car. Oh my God. And I kept making the same joke over and over again. That was a terrible joke. It was such a stupid joke that I just kept thinking, oh my God, Niki, shut the fuck up. Stop telling this joke. Why are you saying this? And it would just come out of my mouth. And I swear, usually I can be pretty composed, at least in dating, because I never really cared before. And so I was oh my God, please stop making this joke. And it was a joke about how we had found out we both went to the same dance studio and actually went to the same class a couple years before. And I've mentioned this dance studio in a video a while ago, but it's a crazy dance studio. It's actually insane. It's a cult for real. And we were talking about how it's a cult. And so I was oh, that's my cat. I was we should go on a second date there, or we should go there. I don't know. It was some stupid joke. That was just not funny. And also that's a terrible dance studio. So it was why would we do that? And I just kept making it. I just kept making it over and over. And she would laugh each time, but I just kept thinking, oh my God, stop. But I couldn't stop. Because I liked her, and suddenly I was short-circuiting. And I was overwhelmed. There's literally you feel you're buzzing with attraction and you can't think straight because there's 1,000 bees in your body and then also in your brain. And it's you're just short-circuiting. So I'm walking her to her car. And then she was can I drive you to your car? And I said, yeah. And then we get in her car. I don't know why I did this. I just was short-circuiting. And I keep a hairbrush in my purse because it's kind of an OCD thing. I have to brush my hair. But I don't do it when I'm on dates. But I don't know, I was short-circuiting. And so I didn't even think about it. And I pulled out a hairbrush and started brushing my hair in her car. And then she just looked at me and I was oh, sorry. And then I put it away, made the same joke again. And then she drove me to my car. And I was okay, I can't get out of this car until I ask her on a second date, which I've never done before. I'd never on a first date, on the date, asked someone on a second date. But I was so nervous. And I was oh my God, I don't know how to navigate this. I don't know how to be smooth. I need to be smooth. Oh my God. I don't know. I just felt differently for her than I had before. And it was the first time that I really was hit with all those emotions. All three kinds of attraction at once. And then I asked her if she wanted to go on a second date in the car, and she said yeah, and it was really sweet. And then the second I got out of the car, I booked a date because I was it'll be a surprise date. And in the car I asked her about a day. and I booked this like surprise date, and I don't even think twice. Like I wasn't rational. That's another thing. Like, because I was so overwhelmed with all of the attraction and like wanting to be like, oh my God, I want them to like me. And I've never experienced this kind of stuff before. So it feels like the craziest, most insane thing in the world. Like what if I never feel it again? This is so special. And not to say it isn't special, but now that I'm older and I've dated more, I'm like, attraction will come and go. It's not the most crazy special thing in the world that you have to hold on to it and cling to it with your whole life when you do experience it for the first time. But that's kind of what it felt like. And I had feelings for girls before, but never like all three at once, those kind of like attractions. And so I wasn't rational, and I like couldn't think rationally because I don't know. I was like also like, this is the most crazy thing in the world. Like, what if I never feel this again? I've never felt this. It must be so special. Like, I would get swept off my feet really easily because I just thought it was like crazy to experience attraction. And so it felt like I couldn't risk like, I don't know, doing everything in my power to like, I don't know, like make a good impression, I guess. So I immediately booked a date. I spent like $200, not even kidding. It was like this, you go and like you pay, and it's like a whole like 2-hour thing, whatever. And I like booked that immediately, and then like made reservations for a restaurant. And then I texted her and I was like, okay, like we'll go out. I'll pick you up at 7 on the day that we were going to go out. And I was like, it's a surprise date. And then we texted over the course of the next week, but I like also really wanted to see her. And then I like panicked halfway through the week, and I was like, I have to get my car cleaned, like perfectly cleaned. I have to go get my car cleaned. And so I went in the middle of the day to go get my car cleaned. And I literally drove back to my apartment and this car washed like 3 times because I needed cash. And then I got there and like, well, we're out of coins and you need coins and I can't give you change. So you have to go get coins. And I had to go home and go to an ATM. It was ridiculous. But I was like, I have to make my car perfect for this girl. And so then when our next date happened, I don't know. I think this story is just kind of funny because it's like, I'm fumbling. I've never cared like this. And definitely not to this degree, and definitely not so swept off my feet with the amount of attraction that I could feel. I didn't know it was possible. And now I know it's possible. So it doesn't sweep me off my feet the same way. But still, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's so embarrassing. So like after a week went by, I drove to her apartment to pick her up, and I got out of my car, obviously, and I waited for her to come outside. And I bought her flowers, her favorite flowers. I don't remember how I knew them, but I like bought her flowers, and I like had them behind my back, and I gave her the flowers. She was really sweet. And then she gave me a book. It was cute. And then obviously I went and like opened the door for her, like to my car. So I opened it. And then as I was going back around to mine, I like was spacing away thinking, oh my God, be cool. Just be cool. Like be normal. Like, oh my God, be normal. And then I got in my car. Like, this is like so embarrassing. I got in my car and we're driving, and I'm talking to her, and I missed the turn to get to this place that was only supposed to be like 5 minutes away. I missed it like 4 times in a row because I was distracted. I don't know. I like liked her. I was like, oh my God, geez, Louise, like, oh, okay. And then I was like, that's good. And then I was like, I swear I'm usually a better driver than this, whatever. I said some kind of flirty comment that now I don't want to say out loud because it was so, I like couldn't believe it came out of my mouth. It was so cheesy. It was like, I can't say it. It's so embarrassing. It was, I don't know why I said that. I feel like I should say what it was, but like if you cringe, just have some mercy on me. I was like, I swear I'm a better driver than this. And she asked like, oh, then what's, I don't know, it was something, she asked something. And then I was like, well, I'm just really not used to driving with like beautiful women in my car. So I'm a little distracted. And then it came out of my mouth and I was like, oh my God, don't talk like that. And then it got worse. It got worse because we got to the paint place, and it was still a surprise. She had no idea what we were doing. And so I parked, and I had to parallel park. And to be honest, I'm a pretty good parallel parker. So I did it immediately. And then we got out of the car, and she said something like flirty, which was cute. She said something like, that's really hot that you can parallel park that way or something. I don't know. Panicked. It was like someone hit the panic button in my brain. I swear to God, I short-circuited. Do you know what I said? I said, I don't even know how to drive. I hit things all the time. I don't even know how to drive that well. What? I'm sorry. What? And then she just kind of looked at me and she's like, what? And I was like, I don't even know how to drive. Like, I hit things all the time. Like, I hit a mountain. I hit things all the time. I can't even really drive that well. And I couldn't stop it from coming out of my mouth. And I'm like outside of my body at this point thinking, I'm literally going to stitch your mouth shut if you don't shut the fuck up. Like, why would I say that? And it's true. I did hit a mountain before, but I hit a mountain when I was in high school. Okay. Not recently. I wasn't hitting things recently. I'm not a terrible driver. I don't hit things just like normally. I hit a mountain in high school and put a hole in my bumper, but I hadn't done it recently. Like, why would I say that? This woman, oh my God, doesn't really know me that well. She's trusting me to drive her. And now I'm telling her that I don't know how to drive and I hit things all the time with my car. What a good look. Yes, a great first impression. Why don't you tell the woman who's trusting you to drive her in your car that you don't know how to drive, actually. Fun fact. And I was like, what is going on? And I was so shocked with my behavior that I was like in shock because I didn't know how to handle it. I was like, what is going on right now? Like, what is going on? And I'd never felt attraction that way, but I mean all kinds of attraction. And so I cared. I cared in a way that I'd never cared. And I'd cared on other dates with girls that I'd liked. And there's definitely like funny moments there where I was like, but I never lost my cool that way. I was still able to be pretty composed. But I had never like met someone yet because I hadn't dated enough because I really don't date that much. I know it kind of sounds like it, but I don't. So like it was like one of the first times I really like felt attraction because I don't date that much. So I felt like I was still kind of early on and sort of microdosing attraction and getting used to it and navigating it. And so I was hit with it all at once. And she was the first person to hit like that, that she hit me with it all at once. And I wasn't microdosing it. Like it hit me all at once, all at the same time. And she was just the first person to have that experience with. And I was now like, how old was I? 24, and now I'm 25. But I like just felt overwhelmed, and then I felt kind of embarrassed because I was like, I feel behind. Like, why am I like losing my cool? Why do I not know how to navigate this? Why does this feel like I can never let this go? Because what if I never feel this again? Like, this is so crazy to experience attraction this way. And it's not to say like chemistry isn't rare, I guess, but it's not. It's a particularly vulnerable thing to be so swept off your feet because you are feeling attraction, especially when it's gay and it's been so suppressed and you haven't seen it around you a lot. And so when that's the case, it feels like there's a scarcity mindset. You never want to let it go. It's like the most crazy thing in the world, the most rare thing in the world. And I was really like struggling with that. But at the time I didn't realize that. And it's part of the problem. Like I realize now, like when it came to our relationship, like I was so caught up in like what it felt like a rarity to experience so much attraction that I could not think clearly. And I think it led to me being attached to her and us being attached to each other the way that we were, because we were both kind of in the same boat with that. I mean, she had dated men, and I think she had probably had that with men, honestly. But probably the boyfriend she cheated on me with, the ex-boyfriend. But neither of us had it, at least with women, and I never had in general. And so then I'm like, okay, I need to like get it together, but it also feels like everything is riding on this because this is so rare. I need to get it right. So then I'm just more nervous, already telling her I can't drive. And then after that, she was just like, okay. Like she just was very easygoing. So I don't know. She's really shy. And I am not used to like there being silence. But she's really shy. So she could be quiet. And I just didn't know how to be quiet because I don't know. I was nervous. And so then we went inside and we like sat down and painted. And I was just sort of like, I just really liked listening to her talk. And at that point I started to calm down because I was just like very much like wanted to listen to her. So it like calmed me down to listen to her and just kind of like watch her painting. I ended up stopping painting because I don't have the attention span for that. And I was just staring at her painting. And I don't even know why I paid for it at that point because I didn't paint anything. I just gave up. And I just listened to her. And then I started to calm down because I was like, okay, like I just like listening to her. Like I want to listen to her talk. So it was like getting better. Also, something kind of funny. When we were on that date, this old woman came over to us and said she really liked our painting because we were both looking at the same painting. And I had painted on her painting an octopus. And she said, which wasn't part of the painting. And she's like, I really like your octopus, whatever, this really old woman. And she goes, yeah, I'm here with my granddaughter and her friend. She points to her granddaughter, and her granddaughter is holding hands with very much a masked lesbian. I'm like, okay, that's 100% a gay couple, and they're holding hands. So that was interesting. It was just kind of funny, and we just were like, okay, really? You're really that much in denial? Anyways, then after that, I like kind of calmed down, not really, but a little bit, and then I drove her to dinner, took her to dinner. I was still really nervous because she's more shy. She doesn't have to talk all the time, and I was nervous, so I didn't know how to be quiet, and it was just, but it ended up going well, and I saw her again the next day at a concert, and after that, like, I started to be like, I could like be more composed. But it's just so funny how when you're dating for the first time after coming out, and I know that wasn't the first person I dated, but when you are dating for the first time, just people you're attracted to, it's so overwhelming just to like try and navigate something that you have no foundation like of a script, and then caring and wanting to get it right and sort of scrambling to write a script that would work and that would make sense, and then also keeping in mind all the things that like you probably do struggle with. Like for me, why I made the predatory lesbian trope video, because I also didn't want to be weird for being gay and I didn't want to be creepy. So then I like wanted to break the platonic barrier and I wanted her to know I was interested, but I also didn't really want to like outright flirt with her because I didn't want to be creepy. But then things would come out of my mouth, like the thing I said in the car, and I was like, oh geez, like let's please not say that. But there's like no script, and so you're trying to write it, but you're like actually experiencing attraction that suddenly can feel so rare that it's like, I can't think straight, and now I'm not going to behave rationally. And I think that is part of the reason that sometimes when you're sapphic and you're dating for the first time, like you're dating women for the first time, for example, I think you can get really attached really fast. And I think that there's like a pipeline pretty easily to like codependency, but I think it comes from that scarcity mindset and it feeling like such a rarity. And because if you weren't allowed to explore it at all, like even the concept of attraction, it is so rare that it does feel like something that means too much to mess up or let go, even if the relationship is something that like should be let go. You know, you can have a lot of attraction for somebody and still not be right. And you'll meet other people. But when you weren't allowed to explore attraction and maybe you're not in an area with a lot of other queer people, it feels so rare, and like you can't run the risk of not having this. Like this is maybe all that there is. And it feels good and wonderful, but you'll forego compatibility and like healthy relationship compatibility, and even just like having a healthy relationship because you don't want to let it go, and it feels so rare and it's so special, and it's the first time you felt attraction. And I think that's why people say that your first like sapphic breakup is killer, like it's a real killer. That's like a funny joke on TikTok, right? Where good luck, like I'm gonna pray for you if you're going through your first sapphic breakup. And it's so true. There's so much that comes with dating for the first time, finding that like what feels like the most rare thing in the world, this attraction, experiencing it, then really embracing attraction for the first time, and all of the connection and attachment that causes when you're just attracted, and the things that you'll do together, the intimacy you experience in whatever way, you're going to get really attached, and it's the first time you're experiencing it all. And also with a person that likely can understand you in a way that not a lot of other people can. Like if you're two women, for example, there's going to be like a sort of almost immediate understanding, and there's this foundation laid that way that can make it so much easier to connect so deeply and be so deeply affected by the relationship. There's a very specific kind of intimacy that can come with that, right? And so you're experiencing it all for the first time, and all the potential for this like very, very deep, overwhelming intimacy. And you have to learn how to navigate it, and also how to not sort of lose yourself in it. Because there's so much that you can find within a sapphic relationship, that like really deep platonic connection, emotional connection, emotional attraction, romantic attraction. If you're someone who experiences sexual attraction, all of these different things. And to have it all at once in one person that you probably already feel like such a deep, almost like natural camaraderie with, if you share like a lot of life experiences from the way you were raised, it's a lot, and it means so much to you. And because it's so much at once, it's like you can lose yourself in it so easily. It's so easy to just completely lose yourself to this relationship, and for this person to become your everything, especially if both of you have not been able to embrace attraction for the first time and have a relationship that way for the first time, and you're having it together. It's intense. It's really intense. And I think that's why, you know, there's the joke about U-hauling, but I think that there's something to that I think should be talked about, which is like the overwhelm that is connection for the first time, in all of those ways that you might have longed for so much of your life, like I did, wanting romantic connection and wanting emotional romantic connection and wanting to be physically attracted to somebody. And I wanted it for so long that when I found it, it means so much, like, and you can lose yourself in it so quickly that I think the U-Haul trope, to paint it in a less negative light, I suppose, is really just a side effect of getting to experience all that comes with attraction for the first time and the very specific, intimate, deep connection that comes with sapphic intimacy. And having it all at once, like, it's so easy, I think, to just make it your everything, for it to become your everything, consume you, I suppose. And if you were never someone who could really microdose the experience of romance or dating or attraction, you have to navigate it in the moment, and that takes time, you know? And not that you have to get desensitized to attraction, but now, after especially that relationship where I was like, so, oh my God, like, I don't know, I was very into her. Now it's like when I do experience attraction, like when I went on like a few dates back in December when I was like, maybe I'll try dating again, and then I stopped. I was like attracted to these people. Obviously it wasn't to the same degree that my ex was, that I was attracted to her, but I was less swept away by the attraction in general, because I now realize, like, it's not the only time I'll probably ever experience it, and it's not so rare that I need to like cling to it, you know? At that point I had like experienced attraction for girls before my ex, and then my ex was like the big one, my first big one. And then I experienced like some attraction after her, and now it feels like, to be honest, it's like I can think clearly for the first time, like truly think clearly. Like I've become, I guess, a little bit desensitized to the overwhelm, and I can think rationally because I can see beyond what it means to be attracted to somebody. And it's like I can sort of get things in control when it comes to my attraction, I guess, which sounds a little bit weird because I don't think you can necessarily control when you're just feeling attracted to somebody, but I can see a little bit more clearly. And it's like I don't forego compatibility, and it still is present in my mind then when I'm interacting with people. And I think that is what is key to keeping yourself from being overwhelmed with attraction to the point that you forego any rationality about your actual compatibility, you know? And that like really determines a relationship. And I can think clearly now in a way that I never did before. And I think that's why so many people, when they first come out and they date for the first time, it's like kind of a thing, right? It's a stereotype, but you'll have those really intense relationships at first, really intense, really fast. And as you get older and you date more, you'll usually hear sapphics say like, oh, I'm never doing that again. Like I want, like people will say, I don't want to date someone who's freshly out because I can't do that stuff again. Like I've done that. I've went through that. Like essentially the phase where like you might U-Haul theoretically because it's so much. It's the first time. And that's kind of like where I think I feel, but I have a lot of understanding and empathy for somebody who's in the throes of that, because that was me. But it's like you mature, but you feel a little bit behind. At least I did, because it took until I was like 24. And I feel like other people, you know, there's so many different reasons that dating and attraction and things like, well, you'll experience it differently. But just like I guess internally I looked at the world and felt behind. I felt behind in like understanding relationships and navigating them, and it felt like everyone like knew something that I didn't, and it's because they were experiencing romantic attraction, so they did know something I didn't. And then when I finally did know what the thing was that they knew, I was like, wow, I don't know how to handle it. And it felt like I was behind because the people I grew up with or my friends like did. They weren't swept up in things to the point that they didn't think rationally like I was. I was in the middle of that. And they weren't sapphic, so it was different. But like I felt behind, and I felt a little bit embarrassed by how much I was overwhelmed by it and how I was kind of scattered and all over the place trying to navigate it, and how to figure out how to flirt with women for the first time without feeling like a weirdo for being gay. And there was just so much overwhelm at once that it was embarrassing to me. And it's not something ever to be embarrassed about. I think it's actually a wonderful thing and such a beautiful experience to what a gift it is to care that way. But at the time I just felt like embarrassed. I was like, God, and I feel too old to be experiencing this. I feel like a teenager that doesn't know how to like emotionally regulate around someone they have a crush on. And it felt like really embarrassing. And I didn't want to talk about it with people after that, because I was like, no, they're going to think that I'm immature, I guess is kind of what it is. But there's literally no timeline on the experience of relationships and exploring attraction. It's just easy to feel behind when you see so many people around you, especially people who are straight, having experienced that, like from the time like they really started to even be like developing crushes, or you really do, and navigating it from there. And I just felt behind. And I know I'm not alone in that, because I have a friend who recently came out like 2 years ago now, and I was there for her like through it all, and I watched her like have her feelings for a woman for the first time, and I watched her do the same spiral I did. So we would always talk about it, because she'd be like, how the fuck did you do this? And I'm like, girl, I don't know. I'll help you with whatever, in whatever way I can, but all honesty, I think it's something you just go through, and the only way out is through, and that is experience and learning and being able to ground yourself in a relationship and not be overwhelmed by all that comes with attraction, and being hit with it all at once, and feeling behind, and then feeling behind if you're dating somebody who has already gone through that. If you're out for the first time and you're dating someone who's already been in like multiple relationships, like sapphic relationships, you can also like be like, oh my God, I'm so behind. They know so much more than me. It's just like all these ways you can spiral. And it was just like I felt embarrassed, and I don't feel embarrassed by it anymore. And I didn't feel embarrassed talking about it with my other gay friends or my other lesbian friends or like sapphic friends, but people who were straight, I felt embarrassed, even if like they were my friends and I knew they weren't like judging me for being gay. I just felt embarrassed by the fact that I was experiencing such like almost like, yeah, like I just felt so young, like teenager sort of mindset, I suppose. But I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I kind of just wanted to talk about it. It was on my mind, and how I've embarrassed myself so many times. And also like learning to like respond to somebody that I was actually attracted to, or like the way women do flirt, like when they break the platonic barrier, learning how to respond to that and like what that looks like, and being able to recognize it. And that's a whole other thing. And also something that I realized is learning to sometimes hold women to the same standard that I do men. And I say that because sometimes women will do things that you will let slide, because I think you naturally tend to assume better intention with women, because you know they're not really the people that we see painted in media, and they're often not, because of the way that we're socialized in men, you know. You assume like more of good faith. There's like a more, I think, almost like natural camaraderie and trust, and it can make you particularly vulnerable. But so when a woman makes a comment that's definitely like inappropriate and sexualizing, I wouldn't hold her like accountable for it and be like, no, that's not appropriate and that's weird. When if it came from a man, immediately I would think it's weird. And that was also something I had to learn, and I'd have to remind myself like actively on dates, like, no, it's not okay that she just said that, even though like she's a girl and she said it in like a nice way and she had like a nice tone, and it's just different. And because I was like, usually, I don't know, I was interested in them. I was a little bit more blinded by this like attraction for the first time. Like, for example, like the first date, oh my God, actually, the first date I went on after I came out when I was 21 and was like, okay, I'm just going to embrace this. The first date I went on was with this girl who went to a university by me. This is so crazy, actually, like a crazy thing to say. But we went on a date, and you know, when we first met up, it was like sweet. She was sweet. She brought me a little pumpkin, and we went to a movie, and I don't know why she brought me a pumpkin, but I was like, that's sweet. That's cute. Thanks for the pumpkin. And then we went into a movie, so we didn't really talk. And then we walked over to this little restaurant after the movie, and we hadn't really talked because of just like what was going on. And we sat down in this little restaurant, and she had a really thick accent. So we started talking for like a second, maybe like literally a minute. And then she says, can I ask you a question? And I said, yeah. And she said, are you the boy or girl during sex? What? And then the accent plays a role, because I understood her, but she thought I didn't understand her because I was looking at her stunned, so I wasn't answering. She didn't think I understood her because of the accent. She goes, oh, sorry, my accent. And then she asked again. And then I was still stunned. I couldn't get words in my mouth. And then she asked again, and she was getting louder. And there were a bunch of old men around us, and I saw them look at us. It was so embarrassing. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. And then I just said, oh my God, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. It depends. And I understand the sentiment. I understand it was a language thing. She was definitely asking, like, are you a top or bottom, whatever. But still, like, you don't even ask that. You don't ask that. Like, we did not talk sexually. We did not, like, that was so inappropriate. But then I was like, okay, it's kind of funny. But then when I told my friends after, and then she talked about her ex for the entire rest of the date, who was back in her home country and was actually her professor. And she was like, I don't think I can ever forgive her. Do you think I could maybe forgive her because she didn't come with me to America? It was like insane. She talked the whole time. But when I told my friends about it, they were like, that's so inappropriate. And I was like, I guess. I didn't really think twice about it, even though it is inappropriate. But then I told my friends, and they're like, that's so inappropriate, Niki. Like, that's genuinely inappropriate. And then I had to take a second and be like, wait, no, that actually is. Like, that was reason enough not to see her again, aside from the talking about her ex for a whole hour. But I, like, didn't think that way. That was not the reason that I was not going to see her again. And when I look back, it definitely should have been, because it was, like, immediately sexualizing and really unnecessary. And I just, like, couldn't hold her to the same standard in my head. I mean, that happened kind of recently. I went on a date with a girl when I was trying to date again in December. And at the end of the date, out of nowhere, she looked at my hands, and usually I'll have like black nail polish and then like red on these two fingers and like red on these two. And she asked if it was queer signaling. And I was like, it used to be, but not really anymore. I just like it. And then she goes, so are those the fingers you like to use? And I, again, was like, what? And she goes, you know. Like, are those the fingers you like to use for, And I was like, I don't know. And she goes, so are you ambidextrous? Like, those what you like to use? I don't know, but now I want to put my hands away because this is really weird. But then I was like, okay, whatever. She was really nice. She's really nice. Maybe I'll go on another date with her. I did feel really uncomfortable when she did that. But then I just made a joke and I said, well, I don't use these two. Whatever. And it wasn't until I actually made a TikTok about it, being like, no, she was really nice. It was a nice date. And then I was like, but she did say this. It was kind of funny. And then people in the comments were like, that's really sexualizing. That's not like cool. And I was like, oh, you're right. And someone did comment like, how would you feel if a man did that? And I was like, oh, you're right. Hey, actually, you're right. And I just still, like, even now, struggle a little bit with holding women to the same standard, or like seeing them as being capable of being like inappropriate and sexualizing me the way that men would. It's like, it doesn't like compute to me. I'm not like thinking that they're sexualizing me immediately. And maybe that's because I still like do have a bit of a mindset where I'm like, oh, it's immediately platonic. Like I also like really struggle. I don't think anyone's ever attracted to me. I talked about that in my last video. But for different reasons. I think I just like still struggle to be like, oh, they're actually gay, like me, whatever, because I was really othered for it. So I never think anyone's attracted to me. So when someone like sexualizes me, I don't think I catch on when it's from a woman, because I don't think women are ever going to be attracted to me. Versus a man, I'm like, oh, you're being, like that's not, like I wouldn't be shocked, unfortunately. But like with a woman, I almost like don't catch on because I assume she's not sexually attracted to me. So I don't pick up on her sexualization in a way that's inappropriate. And then I'm not able to hold her accountable because I don't want to go on a date with someone who's sexualizing me that way on a first date out of nowhere when I was definitely showing signs of discomfort. But I assume that they're not sexually attracted to me because I just assume they I don't know. I have a hard time like believing that somebody else would also be sexually attracted to me that is a woman. And so I don't assume like inappropriate intention or like inappropriate, I don't know, like reasonings. And so it just like makes me more vulnerable, and it's really uncomfortable. And now I think I'm like becoming more aware of it. And I think like anyone would, it's really, really uncomfortable to be sexualized, especially like in person on a first date where you're like sitting at dinner and you can't really get up and leave. It's so deeply uncomfortable. I think part of the reason it's so uncomfortable is because like in that moment, suddenly like it's no longer about your voice. It's about like your body or their attraction to you. And suddenly you're voiceless. So they're not listening to you. They're sexualizing you. And it's scary when you don't have a voice. And I think that's what's so icky about it. But it's hard for me, I guess, in the moment to recognize that women are sexualizing me. And that is what is happening, even though it's not a man doing it. It's just weird. There's so much you have to learn for the first time. And so much you have to like sort of learn to navigate because of the way that you've never really seen these interactions before. And maybe I've never experienced this kind of attraction all at once before. And learning what it looks like to flirt, learning how to flirt, learning like what it means to be flirted with. Like those are things I guess people were flirting with me. Like I guess they're kind of flirting, but to me I'm just like, I don't know, like I don't anticipate, I don't usually register when someone's flirting with me because it's hard for me to believe anyone's attracted to me. But women flirt in a different way also. So it's like I always knew the ways that men did in a really stereotypical, like, you know, heteronormative way that we see like in media, but I didn't know women how they flirt because it's different. It's just different. And learning to recognize it and recognize the signs, and when a woman is attracted to you, like to recognize the signs. But that takes a second versus with like a man, you know it all too well, right? It's a whole new world. It's a whole new ball game where suddenly things matter, and it's like there's stakes. And it's a lot harder to navigate things when you're so aware of like the way you've never had it before, and it feels like there's high stakes, and that's where the rarity scarcity mindset comes in that I think also affects you. I don't know. Like I don't know. I was just thinking about this. I wanted to do something maybe like a little bit more lighthearted, like just have a conversation a little bit more lighthearted after the lesbian trope video, our predatory lesbian trope video, because it's one of the hard things about dating that hurts. You know, when you come out for the first time, it's one of those things that is just riddled with shame and guilt and confusion, and it takes something that should just be fun and wonderful and makes it hard in a way that doesn't feel good. It doesn't necessarily feel bad when I was like word vomiting to a girl that I had a crush on, the way that being afraid that I'm going to be a creep for being gay does. So I wanted to maybe like focus on the parts that feel good, because you deserve to feel good. Dating should be fun and it should feel good, and you shouldn't feel weird for just being who you are and expressing attraction to the people you're on dates with that you're attracted to. Like, obviously, like I'm not saying, you know, to actually be weird about it, like read the room kind of thing. But I think so many of us struggle with the hard part, and it can become so overwhelming because hard things like that, like struggling with like the predatory lesbian trope and all that can come with when it affects you. For some reason, negative things and bad things tend to have this really shitty way of overshadowing everything else, and really taking you out of the present where you're able to feel good. Because I think you really have to be in the present in order to experience happiness and pleasure and joy. But feeling bad and feeling sad, like, often is taking you out of the present, or it's not something necessarily in the present, when it's like a thought process or a fear, and it's taking you directly out of where you need to be in order to enjoy it. And so you can get overwhelmed with all of the bad that you don't even let yourself experience the good, you know? And I think it's important to remember all the ways that dating can be wonderful, and it should be wonderful, and it should be exciting, and you're not a weird predator for just expressing your queerness, like on a queer date with other queer people. You know, there's nothing shameful or creepy about it, about acting the way that, I don't know, a lesbian acts. You know, it's a beautiful thing. And whoever you're attracted to, whatever you identify as, like, it's not creepy to be anything that isn't straight. None of it is weird or creepy, and you shouldn't feel like you're not allowed to express it. And I wanted to give that reminder. I wanted to, like, make sure that, like, I don't know. I don't want it to feel like, you know, there's always going to be that overshadowing of the difficult parts, that dating will never just feel seamless or easy or good. And I really think it will. Like, if you're struggling with that right now, maybe you're overwhelmed a bit with, like, the more negative things, like the, oh my God, am I creepy for being gay? Things like that. I truly, truly do not think that will be something that overshadows your ability to enjoy dating and romance and pleasure in whatever way forever. I really don't. I know it. I know that. And I hope that this can just be a reminder, and that you start to hopefully, like, give yourself some grace, or, like, actively work towards trying to give yourself experiences and grace that allow you to embrace who you are without shame. Or even, like, if you have to fake it till you make it, but committing to giving yourself the experiences that you deserve, which is shameless and happy indulgence in all of the ways that you can experience romance and partnership and connection. You deserve it. Having, like, a good life, like a happy life, is not, I feel like, something you really need to earn. It's something that's kind of your birthright. And as queer people, we feel like we've sort of failed from birth, I think, because of the way, like, homophobic cultures raise us and impact us. But that's not the case. We've never failed. And from birth, you were always deserving of having a fulfilling, happy life full of all of the connections everyone else has always been allowed to embrace wholeheartedly without shame. And I think that's important to remember sometimes on the really bad days where it just feels like, will I ever get this right? Will it ever feel good? Even though it is what I want, but will this overwhelm with the shitty stuff ever go away enough to actually let me just enjoy it? And it will. I think when you have enough experiences, it kind of drains. So I think commit to allowing yourself to experience things, even on the hard days or where you feel maybe the worst about yourself. I think commit to giving yourself the opportunity to have experiences, because I think it's through that like the bad that overwhelms you starts to drain, because you're collecting so many new experiences that are nuanced and will have good and will have bad. And as a result, you can't just be all filled up with at capacity with this one thing, which is the bad. You're going to have too many new little moments that are going to also counter it. You know, they're going to challenge this like shitty narrative that you might have in your head, or like filling you up from internalized homophobia. But you gain that from having those experiences and collecting all of those little moments, you know, and just any little moment is such a blessing because they add up. So collect all of the little moments you can so that eventually you feel safe enough to experience big moments of happiness and joy and connection. I feel like that's really dramatic, maybe. I don't know, but I really mean it. Truly, I really mean it. I just want to make it clear that you deserve connection. And I know that even if it feels like you're too at capacity with the things that prevent you from feeling like you're allowed to connect or you'll ever be able to connect, that will not last forever. And I hope you give yourself the kindness of committing to not allowing it to define your future when it comes to connection. You don't deserve that. You deserve to have connection and happiness and shameless indulgence of romance if that's what you want. You know? I don't know. Those are just some thoughts. I don't know. I don't really know what... I guess this is different than the kind of videos I usually do. I just sort of rambled about being weird on a date and awkward. So I guess that's all I'll say. And I also just like want to add, if anyone has any experiences, like if you have any experiences with this, like you have funny dating stories, or just experiences that come with dating for the first time and all maybe the awkwardness that comes with that, or you know, the struggles, the harder days, the harder moments, the more wonderful moments, I would love to hear them. Like I would love to hear them. I think it's such a hopeful thing to talk about in general, and it's healing to talk about the bad ones as well. So if you have any thoughts or insights or stories you'd like to share, just for you to talk about or for others to see, I would love to hear it and see it. If you want to like leave it in a comment, I know that other people would appreciate it, because the messages I tend to get the most of are people saying like how much the comments have impacted them and made them feel less alone. So if you ever have commented on a video before, or you comment on this one, I just hope you know you are making others feel less alone, and that's healing so many more people than I think you might even realize your impact. So I just want to say that. And if it's something maybe you want to talk about, but you don't feel comfortable having others see it, all my inboxes are open. My email's down below. I have a submissions page on my website through there. You can send it to me. I'd love to hear it. I'll be in your audience. I'd be honored to hear your experience or your thoughts, whether it's something more heavy on your heart, or something happier, something you're confused with. I'd love to hear it. I also publish submissions on my website if you'd like it to be something like that for others to see. And I'll link the published pieces that are already up there, and I really recommend them. They're really beautifully written and often about the queer experience. But yeah, I would love to hear any experiences you have if you feel like sharing them. It also always makes me feel less alone to hear them. Also, selfishly so, make me feel less awkward or embarrassed about how awkward I was on those dates. But yeah, I would love to hear it. I know other people would also love to hear it if you feel comfortable. And you don't have to worry about anyone being weird in the comments or like homophobic, or I moderate them really heavily so that nobody can be like homophobic or transphobic or misogynistic or racist. You don't have to worry about anybody being weird if you do decide to share. I just want to say that as well. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'll end it here. And thank you for watching, for listening to my awkward dating stories, and my rambling about all the ways that I find dating wonderful and also confusing. And I don't know. I like it. I think romance is fun and wonderful and a beautiful thing. But I still see it as a little bit of a rarity because it kind of is when you're gay, I guess. There is a bit of a scarcity, but I like talking about it. So thank you for listening. And okay, yeah, that's it. Oh, I also have a Patreon with 2 videos on it. They're free. If you're interested, I'll put them down below. I'll just say that because I have other videos on there. Okay, yeah, that's it. I'll end it here. And I appreciate you watching. I look forward to hearing your experiences if you want to share. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.